this were a memoir,
Yeah.
I would put juicy things from my own life.
Right. Like what kind of things would you put in there that nobody knows?
Well, I guess the biggest thing that nobody knows about me is I'm a deeply closeted gay man.
What? You're a gay man?
I'm not gay. I said I'm deeply closeted. I'm as straight as an arrow.
So you're a gay man who won't admit it?
No. Do you know what deeply closeted means?
Yeah.
It means a man who will not acknowledge that he's gay.
Yes.
So I'm telling you, I'm not gay. I got a wife.
You got a wife?
I just got married because I thought, go through that charade, keep appearances up.
Oh, yeah. That's the kind of thing you tell if this were a memoir.
Yeah,
if this were a memoir.
Right.
If this were a memoir, I would tell about my wife. What a battle axe.
Battle axe? No one's called their wife a battle axe since 1945.
Leslie, come. How do you feel about a woman? She's supposed to be my life partner. I look in the mirror the other day and I says to her, honey, I look in the mirror and all I see is a fat, ugly old man. And I need you to give me a compliment. She says, all right then. Your eyesight is damn near perfect. I said, you dirty dog.
Age of Radio.
Oh, Jerry, let me tell you something. I got this great idea. I got this fucking cousin, right? He's got this kid. Won't shut her mouth.
Just don't get me started.
Oh.
Fucking kids.
Just jabba all day long. It just won't shut the hell up.
And I'm guessing ungrateful.
Super ungrateful.
Fucking kids.
But anyway, let's talk about this kids movie we're making.
It's got to be a kids movie.
It's got to be a kids movie. That's where the money. That's when the money rolls in.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Can we do something so the kids are just terrible?
Oh, we'll make every kid as unlikable as possible, and let's have the villain kid talk like a grown-up, because that's everyone's favorite trope.
Oh, yeah, and you know what we should do? So that in case any of these kids actually do get around to seeing it, put in a bunch of references that they're not gonna get.
Oh, man, I'm thinking Andy Griffith.
Little Rascals.
Oh, Witness.
Yeah, we'll put that all in there. And you know what? Make every last kid dumber than a bag of hammers.
Oh, and shit, listen to this. We're also gonna make the whole thing one kid's dream. Okay, stay with me.
Oh, yes.
And almost every character is going to be super racist, so it's going to make everybody think that kids are just racist.
So not only that, it's a kick in the nuts to kids, it's a kick in the nuts to parents who actually went to see it because it's all a dream.
Yeah.
All right, shut up. Let's go make some money.
You know when I pick a movie, that's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me, what were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
Hello.
Oof, you're far too keyed up for this friggin' movie.
Wow. That was impressive.
This is the What Were They Thinking podcast. I am Brendan.
And I'm Nathan.
And we talk about bad to questionable movies. Sometimes I don't pronounce all the syllables in the words I'm saying.
I guess one should be a bad to questionable career choice.
Yeah, bad to questionable a lot of stuff. But we are, of course, talking about, what else could we be talking about but 1994's hit of the summer, North.
And as I subtitled it in my notes, so it's come to this.
Oh, and we're not alone, as you may have heard his voice just a few minutes ago. Ladies and gentlemen, the the uncle of, well, I guess he'd be the nephew of the legendary Three Stooges member Mo Howard. Ladies and gentlemen, Galen Howard.
You know, that's a part of my legacy I don't discuss often, but you know, as Nathan said, it has come to this.
Well, you don't like to brag.
I'm a humble servant of the Lord. And by the Lord, I mean, you know, my the guy
Howard.
on the corner who calls himself the Lord, and it's like, call me the Lord or I'll kill you. And I'm like, okay, Lord.
It seems like a small price to pay to get home with your grocery purchases.
You know, when you're in the dangerous streets of Culver City, absolutely.
Well, there we go.
Just braving these streets, baby.
Yep. It's a tough
Walking
Scrabble
those
world.
Streets alone.
Exactly.
Sitting on the dock of the bay.
No, that wasn't that song.
I know,
Yeah.
but I decided to make it that song.
Okay.
Great. It has come to this.
It's come
You
to
know, I
this.
swear, I know Brendan doesn't have any kids, but he tells jokes like a dad sometimes. Just you know, just randomly jumps over to a song that has nothing to do with the song that was referenced.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of that's also just like a sign of our age. You know, that's just what we do. It's like, yeah.
I want to
So north.
So North.
Wait, what? Oh, North, yeah. So we're
Alright.
talking about a movie from 1994. This is
Wow.
a film, a family film, a family fantasy comedy, our second Rob Reiner film.
Oh,
And
wow.
this stars Elijah Wood. If I could describe the plot of this movie and
Which you
make my
can.
best attempt at it, which I can't? Is that a challenge?
I mean, I've tried.
Oh. You've tried just like in general? Like you
Just
just
in
walk the
general, like
streets?
people are like, "What's North about?" And you know, 2 hours later, you know, several.
They
drinks.
still don't know.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I saw. I think I've now seen this film about 3 times, and it's still a struggle.
3 times. Wow.
Yeah, no, we'll get into it, but yeah, it's I witnessed this film as a child, and I think you know it was the subject of several therapy sessions at least.
North, 1994. Plot. We open with a logo and some credits, and we see a bunch of toys.
It's so far it's a movie.
Yeah,
We know
so far
for
it's
a
a
fact
movie.
that it is a movie.
We've
And
got
it's whimsical.
you're taking out your checklist. You're saying, okay, 35 millimeters, I think.
Right, Castle Rock, Columbia.
Hey, Rob Reiner's a guy I know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a place to start because this is, I mean, up until this point, this is his 8th film, and all 7 of his previous films were in one way or another a home run.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And and it's like I mean, if you're gonna break that streak, I mean, I guess this is how you break it.
In stellar fashion.
I mean,
Boy, oh
this
boy.
is the guy who just did like A Few Good Men. This is Spinal
Misery,
Tap.
Spinal Tap.
Harry Met Sally.
Princess Bride. It's like everything, like boom, boom, boom. It's like this guy can do no wrong, and then we learn with North. Oh no, it's quite possible. He's
could do a whole bunch of wrong.
It turns out he's quite good at making a just unwatchable film.
He really Martin breasted himself.
Oh boy, did he!
So we look at toys and snow globes and trains for a long, long time in this kid's room.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, it's basically like telling you this is a children's movie. This is whimsical. This is like we're hitting all the buttons.
yeah, and if you guys pay close attention, all these things are foreshadowing.
Brilliant.
Yeah, probably.
We
Because what's
start
in the
off
snow globe? Is there something in the snow globe?
snow.
Okay.
Probably an igloo.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yes. Yes. So it's foreshadowing a lot of grotesque racial insensitivity.
Yep. But before we get to that, because that's a ways away, we meet Elijah Wood. He plays North, and his
does.
parents are George and Elaine from Seinfeld,
They sure are.
which was weird.
I Julie Louis-Dreyfus is pretty, but I don't think Jason Alexander being involved in the making of a kid would make anything as beautiful as Elijah Wood.
I think that's safe to say. I don't think he was the real father in that situation. I think he jumped in with he was a big man at the Pants Factory and was like, I'm gonna you and your beautiful kid, I'm gonna take you to the road to success.
Yeah, he's Inspector Number 6. He's tough. He's hot shit. Like, how can you turn that down?
This film does.
Inspecting pants longer than you've been wearing pants.
Yeah, if you want to see Jason Alexander in boxers, this children's film is for you.
That was on the box, I think. But yeah, so they're having a conversation at dinner and totally ignoring North. And as any good kids
and
movie,
each other,
pretty much, yeah.
But as any
they
good
were just saying stuff and not acknowledging what the other one was saying. At one point, Jason Alexander says, "I saw blood in my stool,"
which is the marker of any good children's movie.
Also, the marker of any good children's movie is one that opens with a cardiac arrest of a child.
Oh, panic attack. He's fine. Also, I got notes about North.
They go out of their way, though, to specifically say that he's going into cardiac arrest, as we hear from our narrator, Bruce Willis. More on that later.
More on
Ungrateful
that.
little bastard.
Yeah.
Don't even ask me about it.
For
You don't
someone
want
to
to
perform
know.
a delicate brain operation, I'm not your
I
man.
don't want to talk about it.
If, on the other hand, you have any questions whatsoever regarding the quality of a fine pair of pants, look
Just
no
thinking
further.
about it, I'm getting emotional.
Pants, that's what I know. I know pants, all kinds of
I
pants.
had a day. Let me tell you something.
So then he says to me, oh yeah, what about
It's
chinos?
something it was for those Hebrew slaves in ancient
I said,
Egypt.
chinos, yeah, I know chinos.
Those slaves were in Disneyland compared to working in a travel
Then it's to me
agency.
about jeans. Please, I grew up on jeans.
I'm sure being whipped while you're building a pyramid is no
Then he brings
bargain.
up overalls. Now he's insulting me.
But those slaves didn't have to book the Himmelmans non-stop to
I said,
Boca
listen,
during
Einstein
the
knew
Easter
arithmetic,
season.
Pavarotti knows singing, and I know pants.
North was positive he was having a coronary.
North is very smart. He plays baseball. He wears Jewish face while doing Fiddler on the Roof.
He's Tevye. He plays a mean Tevye. I like that transition of just to show all of his all the ways that he's overachieving. Academically, athletically, and Tevye.
Artistically, yeah.
As Tevye. That is like kind of the marker of artistic excellence is playing Tevye and in Jewish face.
And then he just passes out at the table, and I know they're his parents, but it was weird to me that the first line is "loosen his pants."
Yep. I mean, I guess because that's just how Jason Alexander's character thinks. It's all tied to pants.
True.
All about the pants.
Yeah, but no, that was a very troubling line.
And everybody's super impressed with him. He does a science fair. Oh, but then the parents arguing, the parents ignoring him, as North says, really starting to weigh on him. He's not doing so well in Fiddler on the Roof anymore. He's not playing baseball.
Or Hamlet, rather. Yeah,
Was it Hamlet?
Yeah,
Well,
because he goes, to be or not to. Line.
B.
B.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think it's the acting thing then. I think he just wasn't playing to his strengths, which is Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof.
Right. Shakespeare was just a little out of it.
He
He
can play Jewish, he can't play Danish, is what you're...
Yeah.
There
But
you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elijah Wood, these days, just as delicious as the Danish.
Yum.
So he's failing at stuff.
This is why WWE Hall of Famers think we're married, Brendan.
Well,
Oh.
because of my Elijah Wood comments.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, yeah, you know what? Don't. Yeah, I've been.
Don't worry. I picked up that wrestling reference. I've seen all the wrestling.
Nathan, that's all well and good, and I'm sorry for making it sound like that. Can you go get the laundry if you don't mind?
Yeah, no, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Feed
Thanks.
the cats, would you? Feed the cats.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, babe. Yeah,
I
babe.
really like how the baseball coach comes over and he's like, North, are you having problems? You, North, the best
Yeah.
person in
Hate this
the
kid so
world.
much.
That's and for people who are enjoying this film, which is no one, that they will note that is the writer of this glorious film, Alan Zweibel.
Yes, who
He gave us It's Gary Shandling's show and North.
Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, a great writer. And then he made North.
Correct. Yes, a great writer, not evidenced by this film.
But thankfully, guys, North has his secret spot where he gets to think, and that spot is a giant armchair in the mall.
I mean, that's kind of a go-to. It's my go-to.
I thought
It's a very 90s thing for your special place to be the mall.
To be the top place of human consumption of
Right.
of consumer indulgence is that's where you get your deep thinking done.
Yeah, that's his Zen spot. Is just a tribute to commercialism.
Yeah, you really get your deep thinking done there. You really you make your big life choices. When you're just in the Mall of America or whatever.
Yeah, but did you see that chair he was sitting in? You could do some deep thinking in that chair.
Yeah, but not when Bruce Willis in an Easter Bunny costume is sitting next to you.
Oh, you mean Harvey?
Right.
And okay, so a question: is he maybe this is I might be crazy. Is he supposed to be a real rabbit?
No.
He's the Easter Bunny.
No, because remember he shows up at the end to give him a ride.
And he's got the costume.
Okay, because at first
spoiler alert for this turd of a movie.
Because he's eating a carrot and shit, and I was like, wait a second.
He's just methoding it. He's really he's getting into it. He's brandoing that shit with the carrot.
He indicates that he's independently wealthy, so he just goes around to malls and festivals to play mascots because he likes to play mascots. So yeah, Galen might have something there that he just might be super method about the mascot that he's playing.
Yeah, I mean this is Bruce Willis we're talking about, at the height of being Bruce Willis.
It was nice to see emotion in his face because we don't get that a whole lot these days.
Nope, not since Cop Out.
But and most of that was just his rage against Kevin Smith.
Yeah, his annoyance at being on the set. But okay, so by the way, guys, listeners, I hope you like Bruce Willis because he shows up about 18 more times as 18 different characters.
This is his Peter Sellers. This is his Peter Sellers' turn.
Oh, and every character a fully fledged.
Say Lon Chaney Jr., but.
A full-fledged, full character with lots of different characteristics. So all of his characters, just in a nutshell, I just want to get this out of the way right now because they offer no advice, no help, and they're just there for North to be like, I don't like my current situation.
And he's like, yeah, it sucks.
That's it. That's basically what it is. I was actually surprised, Nathan, you mentioned, because I did notice that there was some joy in his eyes. I'm like, why is it the movie North where I'm noticing the joy in Bruce Willis's eyes?
It's because he still had joy in his eyes for a long time after this movie. I mean, even when we did Striking Distance, he still looked like he was having fun. He liked being there. Yeah, it was a little more taut with the tension in the movie, but he's still there. It's not like you tune in to see this shell of a man now every time. He's just a husk of what Bruce Willis used to be every time.
Yeah, that Striking Distance had more valuable messages for children than this movie.
Right, like when you have a girlfriend, get her to give you an autographed picture of herself.
Yep, and make sure you keep them all on your houseboat.
Right.
So Bruce Willis is just like listening to his problems, and North is like, you know what, my parents are ignoring me, and he's like, yeah, I wish it was like baseball, but it's not. You can't just pick the team that you're on. And he's like, wait a second, yes I can. I'm gonna pick new parents. Yeah, and then we get a whole bunch of stuff where they're talking about how much of a good reputation North has. We're reminded of that about 25 times in the movie. But these parents,
I gotta tell you. Yeah, if I was a kid, I would hate fucking North.
And I also have questions about all these parents in town because there's like a kid brushing and the parent is like, "Did you floss?" He's like, "No." North flosses. North always looks both ways. Why do these parents know so much about North? I want to know that. Like a little too much.
I was thinking a lot about this with all of the adults in this movie. I don't think there's a single adult in this movie who couldn't be arrested for child abuse in some capacity, with maybe the exception of John Ritter because he's John Ritter. But that's about it.
He also mentions to Bruce Willis because he talks about like Mozart, and he's like, "Oh, at least Mozart's dead and doesn't have to feel my pain."
Right. Yeah, no, but Amadeus Mozart. Let's say it correctly.
Amadeus, yeah.
Amadeus.
Amadeus Mozart, yeah.
Well, because Bruce Willis can't pronounce the name because he's just a dude. He's just a dude.
I'm just a guy here. I just showed up with my bunny costume.
I'm just a guy standing in front of a kid telling him he should leave his parents.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That makes
Again,
it sound
I should be arrested.
so much worse. Yeah. Well, that grown man in the bunny costume said I should just leave my parents and go on the road.
Yeah. Nothing suspect about that. Yeah, and then he invited me back to his place to play a special game.
Solid advice there, kid. Ah, the 90s.
So North goes to see his friend Winchell. Get it? Because he's a newspaper editor. Hey.
Yeah,
and
because those are references that kids are gonna get.
Yeah,
you know?
Walter Winchell. All the kids love Walter Winchell.
Oh yeah, I mean I remember I took my Walter Winchell lunchbox to school every day. You know,
the kids in school today, it's Pop Rocks and Walter Winchell. They can't shut up about either.
See, I was always a Hearst guy.
Yeah, that's why you're so adamant against Citizen Kane.
Right.
Yeah.
He got a bad rap.
They called it what?
Right. That was his girlfriend, you son of a bitch. But yeah, this kid at the newspaper, as the newspaper editor, he's like, "What a scoop!" Because again, kids love 1950s fast talk.
Yes,
a kid
a little Howard's Hawk, pitter pat dialogue, just get the kids, all in a tizzy.
He also references Watergate. This could be my Watergate. And again, children are sitting there watching this, being like, "When's the comedy start?"
Right. They love some good, those are the kids with the Bob Woodward lunchbox.
Yeah, I had the Bernstein one. I was a real outcast. But I had Elmore Bernstein lunchbox.
Well, of course. Magnificent Seven, yeah.
I got so much trouble when I brought my Deep Throat lunchbox to school.
Oh, yikes.
Guys,
Harry Reams. Boy,
did you guys get made fun of for bringing your G. Gordon Liddy lunchbox to school? Because I always got shit for that.
Oh, boy, yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I brought the William F. Buckley lunchbox, that was kind of the last straw. Then it was being shoved in lockers, for the rest of existence.
Actually, after a while, I got accused of being, non-patriotic, so eventually I had to start bringing a Conrad Black lunchbox to school.
It's the logical progression.
Oh, North. So yeah, they give this poor kid actor the worst fucking dialogue in the world, and he's like, "You need new parents, and you need them now."
That kid is no longer acting, and
I don't blame him.
We can see why.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel bad for him, honestly.
I know. No, I mean, I say I can understand. If he's like, if this is as good as it gets right here. I mean, why continue?
We get a little bit of Jason Alexander working at the pants factory, which is a scene that I guess is supposed to be funny.
Well, you know what? This was one of the first things that, because there's everybody's working at the pants factory. At the pants factory. Whoa, 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 whoa. And they're all doing, their pant testing and stuff, but they all have to apparently exist in the situations that the pants are made for. So we've got Jason Alexander doing prom dance because he's wearing like powder blue tuxedo pants.
He's testing them, like, can it sustain this or this? Yeah.
There's rabbi pants next to him, and there was another one too, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Why is this? And this sort of stuff happens a lot throughout the movie, like just these weird caricature-esque moments. And I was like, "This is fucking insane."
You mentioned the rabbi. I mean, are you insinuating that there's like some there's some cultural demographics in this film that maybe aren't respectfully portrayed?
Well, that's definitely a point, but that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is all the insane things like this that are happening definitely go to explaining the shitty ending that we're going to be talking about.
Oh boy.
Just to get a little ahead of ourselves, yeah. So
North calls his dad, and his dad's like, "I'm working. I can't talk with you right now." Duh, obviously, and that's the tipping point. North is like, "Well, he can't talk to me while he's working. I'm leaving."
Yep.
And you know what, kid? shut up. You like that nice house you live in? You like that nice school you go to? All the activities that get paid for? Guess what does that? Inspector number 6, that's who. So quit calling me while I'm at work. Figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, this film really does feel like it was made by people who hate children.
That's a distinct possibility because
point there.
I ended up hating just about every kid in this movie by the end of it.
Dad, should I take a bath? I don't care what you do. Get the fuck out of my face. Sorry, I just finished watching North.
Dad's been drinking again. Guess it's podcast week.
And this is podcast week. This is just a core example. So the next scene is a core example of like why the jokes don't work in this movie, because John Lovitz shows up as Arthur Belt. He's supposed to be a lawyer, and he's going to help North find new parents. His introduction is him chasing an ambulance, which is kind of funny, but then he gets out of the car and says, "Oh, I was chasing that ambulance that helps me avoid red lights." You don't need that part of the joke.
No, you don't. If the joke works, you don't have to explain it.
Yeah, just chase the ambulance and then get out, and then you're a lawyer. That's funny.
What average kid watching this movie is going to know ambulance chaser means lawyer?
Yeah, no, they felt like, oh, we need to really hit that joke over the head so the kids get it, but they don't know the joke to begin with. So just let that sit on its own, and whoever gets it gets it.
I've got a theory. This movie is actually not. It's terrible. It is, but it was. I don't think it was marketed properly. I think if they had taken this movie and marketed it towards disgruntled parents who think their kids are ungrateful shits, I think this movie would have made a ton, because it just would have been them laughing at North for like the entire time about how much of a disrespectful little shit he has no idea what's going. This kid.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how. I mean, I do believe that is the perspective from which this film was made. I mean, this was actually, believe it or not, this actually was before Alan Zweibel wrote it as a script. He originally wrote it as a young adult novel. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this was born out of just like his kids saying like Dad, you don't pay attention to me, and he's I hate you, Dad, and he's like fine, go find another fucking family, you little piece of shit.
Well, you're implying a lot of hatred about Alan Zweibel.
It's like he had like a listening device in his house.
Yeah, are you like Claire Danesing his home or something?
I think it's pretty apparent. I don't think you need. Yeah, no. I think it's.
Are you? Wait.
I think the subtext is pretty apparent.
Is Alan Zweibel like the Damian Lewis to your Claire Danes? Are you eventually going to fall in love with him?
I think after seeing this film, I think who couldn't fall in love with Alan Zweibel?
Speaking of falling,
also who couldn't fall in love with Damian Lewis? That's why WWE superstars think we're married. Gotta stop saying that stuff.
But
again, I have seen all of wrestling.
All of wrestling. Thank you for completing your homework assignment. So John Lovitz becomes North's lawyer. His name is Arthur Belt.
We get a no comment montage.
Yeah, he says no comment to a bunch of people. They finally go to court.
Yeah, for some reason, Arthur Belt is also doubling as the umpire.
Yep.
And yells no comment as an umpire. That was really funny.
That was a funny joke. It wasn't.
No, it was not.
But and then finally we get to the court the day in court, and North's parents are catatonic, hilarious. Alan Arkin comes in as the judge and does a Groucho Marx routine, I think.
Yes, he's Judge Buckle, the Honorable Judge Buckle, because that's
Elfin
funny.
Buckle.
Oh, get it, guys?
No, it was at this point where I noted that this actually was more like, I don't know, like a Nickelodeon or a Disney Channel kids sketch show that got stretched out into a movie.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I think, if you like shot, an episode of You Can't Do That on Television with like Rob Reiner and the cinematographer from Barry Levinson, then yeah, it would look like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alan Arkin is like, I'm going to be the judge, and there's going to be a hearing, but you can't hear it. Like, it's a stupid fucking scene.
It was just like Who's on First kind of mishmash garbage.
Why put that in this 87-minute movie?
Now then, let me remind you, this is a trial. This is not a hearing. Even though both sides will be saying things and I will be hearing them, it is still not a hearing. No doubt you'll all be hearing the same things that I am hearing. That's your privilege. However, once both sides have been heard, then it'll be my job to pass judgment. Obviously, you can all pass judgment too, but it won't count. That's because I am the one who is the judge. Have I made myself clear to the plaintiff?
Yes, Your Honor, it is quite clear to the plaintiff.
Very good. Have I made myself clear to the defense?
Your Honor, the defense rests.
Then there's nothing left for me to do but make my judgment.
All taking place on Canada Day.
Oh, it is taking us to July 1st. You're right.
It was July 1st.
Good Lord.
Oh, Canada.
And
no,
Judge
this is
Buckle
yours. This is yours, Galen.
Yeah, that's why they're in court, because everybody else in Canada on that day is at home having a beaver tail and a Molson because it's Canada Day and they're not at work.
It's all your fault, Galen.
Got it.
Anyhow, the judge does pass down a ruling and says that North can feel free to explore the world to find new parents, but he has until Labor Day to make it back. He's either has to have in the arms of his new loving parents or back in the arms of his current parents. If he is not in either one of those situations, he will go to an orphanage. And if any of you have seen The Little Rascals, you know that that's not very good.
What?
No kid in 1994 has seen The Little Rascals.
Yeah, maybe he was referring to the Penelope Spheris film that came out the year before.
No.
No, he wasn't.
It's Rob Reiner. He was not. Rob Reiner was making 1960s jokes in this 1994 movie.
He's there.
Well, almost... no, not 1920s jokes.
Yeah. Almost every joke or reference in this movie is to an era of which kids watching this movie in 1994 would not remember.
Absolutely. Oh, no, this was like Rob Reiner and his dad just being like, "Oh, just don't forget Keystone Cops."
So they do mention Super Mario Brothers 3, which I was like, okay, so they got something right this time, appropriate.
Yeah. So that's his insane ruling. So I want to know how North is paying for Arthur Belt and all these telephone operators to take all these calls for him, because it's certainly not coming from.
He suddenly has like a whole district that
Yeah, Belt doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who works on contingency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking not.
There also is a line when they're all taking calls. One of them says, "Yes, he believes in God and evolution," and I was like, okay,
what?
That's strange. All right, sure.
Yeah, so apparently, there's journalists calling as well, I guess, yeah.
It's called intelligent design.
Yeah, no, I just think it's a weird line to throw into this movie, just randomly aside.
Yeah, I mean, who was asking that? I mean, yeah.
Wait, does he believe in God? Wait, does he believe in evolution? Wait, both?
Oh my God!
But we got to move on, guys, because he's got to go audition some families, and this is where we get into the real crux of the comedy. Because we meet
this is what we all showed up for.
We meet our first family, not the first family, but our first family, and it's Dan Aykroyd and Reba McEntire who play Pa and Ma Tex. And
they refer to themselves as Pa and Ma.
Yeah, and they have, and this is I don't know what they're going for, because they have these shiny jumpsuits, and I'm like, okay, they're not Texans, they're country singers, right? That's the only thing I guess.
Oh, they are country singers. We'll find out.
But yeah, and it's every fucking stereotype.
Oh my God, yeah, everything's big in Texas. Blah 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 blah.
And then they're legitimately rhinestone cowboys and riding out on a horse in a Star-Spangled Rodeo.
Guys, Rhinestone is a better movie than this movie.
Coming soon.
That is true.
I own it on DVD.
We will talk about that one day, sir.
Oh yeah, that also has questionable racial stereotypes. Maybe not as bad as this one, but yeah.
But there's this whole thing. They talk about their dead son Buck, who apparently died of morbid obesity.
No, he died.
No, in a stampede.
He died in a stampede. That was the weirdest fucking joke ever.
Yeah, no, he died in a stampede of flavor at the Sizzler buffet. That's what happened. They just don't want to talk about it.
That was the
right.
weirdest-
Well, he just couldn't. I guess the joke is he couldn't outrun the stampede. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's a joke where they said like it was a mighty big loss, and I'm like, is that just a lazy fat joke?
That's just that. No, that's literally all it is.
It is a lazy fat joke.
Yeah. No, and there are many of them that follow.
Oh, Dan Aykroyd's character signed over the Houston Astros to North, which is, at the time, kind of a funny joke because the Astros weren't doing a whole hell of a lot in baseball in that time. Now it'd be like, they're a World Series team.
And again, great reference for kids.
We meet Bruce Willis again, and we find out that Dan Aykroyd is perfectly fine with hiring murderers because
he's killed people for less than being called an Easter Bunny.
Yes, because he asked him if he ever wore an Easter Bunny suit, and then he's like, he's killed people for less. And I'm like, and you hired him?
Yep.
Of course.
Don't forget, guys, that there is a random musical number here,
where we find out that Reba McEntire can really sing, and Dan Aykroyd is Dan Aykroyd.
Exactly. Well, he's Elwood Blues, so.
You know what? That's fine. Country, not his wheelhouse.
Yeah, and it is also, as all children will note, sung to the tune of Bonanza.
Oh, all children, take out your pens. Note this.
Yes, it is. Yes, your favorite Bonanza.
We had a son who was trampled by a ton of longhorns, but you're here cute to fill his boots as flat as they may be.
You'll yell yippee-i-o at the rodeo till the day's done.
Then you'll make a lot of pals with buffalo gals.
Just leave some for me.
Hey there!
We'll barbecue steaks and stew, feed you pumpkin pie, till your can's bigger than the big old Texan sky.
Oh, that was a big show. That was a big show for children that were, 53 years old in 1994.
Yeah, like Rob Reiner, the 53-year-old child Rob Reiner.
Who would know Bonanza in 1994 are kids who were, caught the opening tune of it and then changed the channel because it was on in syndication in the afternoon when they got home from school.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mom, I want to watch, Power Rangers or something.
Sweet, DuckTales is over. Oh, change it before Bonanza starts. That's how that would go. And then we get a couple of those later and my only explanation as to why North would know any of these is Nick at Night. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, we're giving this movie more credit, though. It's just lazy screenwriting.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And then he has another talk with Bruce Willis and talks about that, he's uncomfortable there because, he's going to be constantly compared to Buck. And I'm like, that's the reason why you're uncomfortable there?
Yeah. He says, I don't want to be their dead son Buck's replacement. Ew, I don't want to be with a family who has a dead kid. Gross.
Yeah, because human tragedy is just that's a deal breaker right there.
Human tragedy, pass.
Ugh.
Oh, get over it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it isn't the fact that they want to that they want to force feed him, that they have this weird feeder fetish about him. That's not the part that makes him makes him think twice.
I just thought of the movie Feed, but made for children.
Get in the car, kids.
So essentially he's like, no, this family ain't gonna do. Meanwhile, back in wherever the fuck he's from, Winchell is having a Citizen Kane rally. The big poster of North behind him and everything, talking about we kids, we can all leave our parents. We can all find new parents. By the way, his blonde hair gives this whole thing a really weird vibe.
Oh boy, yeah, blonde hair, blue eyes, yeah.
He says, just because just because you were born before us doesn't make you smarter. Just because you're older, it doesn't make you right. It just makes you old. To which I noted, man, that dumb kid is so wrong.
I wish he'd then said this is the final solution.
Oh,
that would have been unnerving. I thought it was weird where they said Viva El Norte. Shouldn't it just be Norte? Because it's his proper name. He's not
Viva the North? Yeah. Long live the North? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of racist, we go to Hawaii.
Oh boy.
This isn't even going to be the worst one, guys, because
Nope.
we go to Hawaii.
I know.
They explain. So they're the parents number 2. They explain that here in Hawaii, it's really easy to graduate because we have less letters. Think about all the names of our places: Kauiki, Waikiki, whatever.
Honolulu. Yeah.
Our Hawaiian assistant is named Wacky Wacky. You get it? Because it's not English. That's the joke.
When they say he'll take you to your room, he literally picks him up and takes him there because that's funny.
Hey! Oh, Nathan, yeah, you actually messaged me about this before when we were watching this before. You go ahead and you talk about the wife because the joke made at her expense is unfortunate.
Well, first of all, the wife is voiced by the same voice actress who played Min and Connie.
Lauren Tom.
King
Lauren
of the Hill.
Tom. Yep.
Also in
Yeah.
Bad Santa.
And so she is the wife of the Hawaiian governor, who they live in the governor's mansion is apparently a grass shack.
'Cause it's Hawaii.
And right, but North asks them, why do you guys, why do you want me as a kid? Like a kid, don't you have any kids of your own? Because he wants to find out if they have any dead kids that they're going to be comparing him to.
Mm-hmm.
And
Again,
the governor,
human tragedy. Fuck that.
right? Well, the governor then says, all of our lands in Hawaii are very lush and fertile, except for one spot, and that would be my wife.
My wife, yeah.
And I'm just like, what? What the fuck, movie? Really?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, no, it's my fucking wife. What can I tell you?
Oh, and guys, I got to explain the earlier bit I talked about with the letters. The reason he mentions that Hawaii, he'll succeed because Hawaii doesn't have very many letters is because they don't use B, C, D, or F, so he'll just get straight A's in school. Get it?
Yeah, that's because that's how it works. Yeah, they wouldn't.
He explains
they don't have like a different way of assessing one's academic scholarship.
Apparently, they don't have numbers either. So can't
right?
just do it
No,
that
yeah,
way.
they can't. They can't give you a 1 through 10. They're just like
I don't want to get into a whole Patrick Swayze, Bill Paxton situation where I'm wrong, but are either of these actors Hawaiian?
Lauren Tom is not. I don't
definitely
think.
not. And
okay,
the other fella,
the other gentleman, I don't believe so.
I thought it was Steve Park, but I don't think it is.
But
no,
again,
it's definitely not.
But again, not the worst example of casting the wrong race.
No, we'll get to that shortly. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So now that North is he's kind of on board with this, and he's going to be their kid, and they're going to make him the face of Hawaiian tourism by ripping off a Coppertone ad with a pervy octopus. Also, Pervy Octopus is the name of my next punk band.
Oh,
guys, this part was...
Our first album will be called Elijah's Crack.
Oh my God. Yeah. So yes, you So you have like a Jeffrey Jones level, crime against humanity here.
Well, yeah, because they're like, listen, North. North is like, I love this place. You guys, I think you guys are the ones. I think I'm going to have you as my parents. And then they unveil this billboard of an octopus pulling North's pants down. And I'm just like, that is a fucking child.
That alone, okay,
Oh my
we're
God.
obviously nodding to the Coppertone ads, but the look on the octopus's face is what sent me over the edge.
Yeah, no, that octopus was like enjoying his job just a little too much.
And then, Elijah Wood says the word, my crack, like 18 times. And he's like, you can't show my crack. And I'm just watching this being like...
Every other word, it's my crack.
This
is...
is...
I mean, it did sound like, Mr. Rack, first name Mike. That was the joke over and over. Just like he was like prank calling someone.
This was like a horror movie at this point.
And because he then meets Bruce Willis again, who is now a
beachcomber,
a beachcombing beach bum, and has another discussion about, again, his crack on the beach with a stranger.
Yep.
I mean, that's as you do when you're in Hawaii.
Yeah. There was also the bit where they pass like people like doing aerobics on the beach, and he has like the thing about like, oh, exercise, length, gives you a longer life, but why bother if you're just going to spend all that time exercising? But-um-bum.
But-um-bum.
It was just like, yeah, it was just like this like Borscht Belt, observational comedy. It was throughout this thing. It was very weird.
Yeah. So at this point I wrote, is this movie just going to be North auditioning parents after parents? And I'm sure we all found out that is exactly what it is. So after this, he decides, don't think this family is for me either. So and then we go back to back home, and this is a moment I have to mention, and I know it's gonna bring the room down a little bit, but
I think he's based out of New York. Just to clarify.
Okay. But when we go back, there's a moment here that it might a little sad to think about. But there's a scene here where Arthur Belt, like John Lovitz, is getting a massage, and so is Winchell. The waitress that comes over is unfortunately Braden Hartman, Phil Hartman's late wife, who
North does have the distinction of being the sole film critic of the woman who killed Phil Hartman.
Yeah, and it was unfortunate that John Lovitz had to have the scene with her too, because he was BFFs with Phil Hartman.
He was the one who replaced him on News Radio. Well, I didn't know about that, so thanks for dragging me down. What I had lined up, all teed up and ready to go, was the discussion that he was having with Winchell, because Winchell was like, you know what, the parents are now afraid of their kids, and they're actually voting the way their kids tell them to vote. And, of course, Belt gets this idea that he is going to be the next president of the United States, to which I noted, not the next one, but maybe in 2016. He's about on par as far as the intelligence goes.
100%.
At that point, I noted, please, no, I'll just take a bad politician. Nope, no thank you, no.
Yeah.
Just give me someone boring. Don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he wants to be president, and I was actually shocked that never actually happens in the movie. Then, guys, we go to Alaska.
Thank goodness.
Oh, there's nothing that's going to be questionable here, right?
Not at all.
It's a smaller list of things that aren't questionable. That being, Graham Greene plays a Canadian native person.
Graham Greene, perfectly fine with him being in that role.
Yeah.
National treasure. The man loves to work.
Yep.
Yeah.
However, his wife is Kathy Bates, and she looks a little tan.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
And Abe Vigoda.
That's not her hair.
If you're going to cast an Inuit Eskimo, you go to Fish. You go to Abe Vigoda, Fish himself.
Listen, if there's a change in policy in the next couple of weeks, feel free to track me down.
Abe fucking Vigoda.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then a moment that, again, when we talked about references in this movie, no fucking kids will get, and they're not, and it's not even a funny joke. There's no joke. Is when they're sitting around and Graham Greene is like, "Oh, we're gonna go ice fishing," and they all start whistling the Andy Griffith theme song
because they're going fishing.
But,
and the only reason why I said that North would know the Andy Griffith theme is because of Nick at Night.
But I mean, this movie, we're giving this movie too much credit.
You know what? I shouldn't have to work to explain something within the movie. It should be self-evident.
Yeah.
Yeah. We hold all truths to be self-evident. Actually.
Yeah.
That being that Andy Griffith Show was on Nick at Night.
Yeah. But then casting Abe Vigoda as an Inuit Eskimo is redeemed when we see his beautiful character arc.
Oh, wonderful! Okay, Galen, tell us about his character arc.
Well, it's just very common that we find out that if in true respectful portrayal of Inuit Eskimo culture, we find out that when the elders get of a certain age, they're just put on a block of ice and shipped out to nowhere where they die.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And sometimes
and who is our ticket taker at the Inuit ice flow for the elders?
It must be another Inuit Eskimo actor, right?
Yes, that great Inuit actor, Richard Belzer.
Yep.
The guy who was knocked out by Hulk Hogan. Detective Munch himself, Richard effing Belzer.
Yep.
And apparently, and it, what will make this joke even funnier, guys, is if someone on the ice block has a TV that they're able to watch. Get it? Because it's not connected to anything.
Right. Yeah. Because that makes sense. and it's around this time that we're beginning to miss Bruce Willis.
Oh, but don't worry, he's back.
Yep.
In a big coat.
For the sleigh ride home.
Okay, I will admit, if I still at this point knew what human laughter was, this was the time that I would that would have happened, because that was the one moment where when he gets up on the dog sled and it apparently has tears, and they get up and he sees Bruce Willis again and he says, "It's you," and he just goes, "No, it's not." That was the one time I laughed.
The one time, I guess I kind of chuckled when Bruce Willis tells him that they were walking for 7 weeks, because he has a certain amount of time to find new parents. And Bruce Willis mentions, well, you just walked 7 weeks to go put Abe Vigoda out of his misery. Yeah. And Elijah Wood,
I think they added that because there was 10 other racist families that they had to cut out.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. But North.
Oh yeah, there's still more. I mean, there's still more. But I think they were like, maybe he doesn't go here or there. Yeah.
And I just laughed because North said like, oh, I thought it was weird that we stopped for lunch 49 times. Like, how do you not know you were walking for 7 weeks?
But you counted the number of times you had lunch.
Yeah.
And they talk about the nights that are actually day there, and people get they get discombobulated because of it. But time still passes. Like, you still get tired and go to sleep, so you know, okay, yeah, their sun might have been out, but it was 2 a.m. Okay, it's not a situation where you're just like wide awake until it's dark.
Yep.
Yeah, you wouldn't be like what? Yeah, what 7 weeks? That feels like 3 days.
But back in America land, George and Elaine are still in a coma, and for 78 days now. And Ben Stein is there because that's funny because he has a funny voice. Get it?
And he was Richard Nixon's speechwriter. That's really funny.
Wait, was he actually Richard Nixon's speechwriter?
He was.
Yeah, he was.
Oh,
yeah.
that's on.
Yep. Yeah, another dark undertone of this movie.
He's Republican, but he's in show business. So I mean, like, but he's not like a lunatic about it.
Okay.
He did make a big documentary about like being able to scientifically prove the existence of God.
Oh, nice. I'll have to check that out on this podcast.
Yep.
So Winchell
have to be a small scream chamber.
Winchell assures John Lovitz that the parents will not wake up because ... he's going to make sure of it. And I'm like, he's going to murder them?
Right?
We need to get some quick cut montage racism in here. So North goes to
Whoa. It's not all racism. Some of it is just plain prejudice.
Right, okay. But it's offensive montage, let's say.
Quite.
How are the Amish going to complain? They're not going to see it.
Right.
No.
This is true. This is true. Yeah, they
need to have a technology representative who watches all the Amish content for them, and he's like, "Oh, you guys should be mad at Rob Reiner right now."
Yeah.
I think what happens is when the kids go out for Rumspringa, they say, Ezekiel, watch as much stuff as you can about the Amish and see what they're saying about us so you can report back.
Yes. Here's Witness and North.
And guess what? They were mad about
Don't forget
both.
Milk Money.
Milk Money. Oh, don't forget the one where Joseph Gordon-Levitt marries Patricia Arquette.
That's right. Yes.
Isn't that Milk Money?
No, that's a Holy Matrimony.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's not the that's a different movie, involving very very uncomfortable sexual situations with a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
That's not Holy Matrimony.
No,
okay.
No, Milk Money is the one where the kids pay to see some boobs and then they get Ed Harris to fall in love with a prostitute.
With Melanie Griffith.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So there's no Mennonites involved at all?
No.
No,
okay.
Not unless you count Malcolm McDowell.
So I am mixing them up. Okay. All right.
Oh, I was a Mennonite, all right. Oh, I was. So, okay, North goes to an Amish community. He immediately sees that they don't have electricity. He's like, oh, gross.
Or buttons.
Gets back in the plane, and they take off. He goes to Beijing, and there's two gong sound effect jokes.
There sure are. And, and a Last Emperor joke, because, people, the kids love Bertolucci.
Yeah.
I will say, at least it was appropriate for the time, but I can't think of a single kid outside of myself at the time who wanted to be like, I think I want to check out the Last Emperor movie. It looks really intriguing.
It looks really good, yeah.
Always been a movie kid, but I can't think of a single person who went to school with me. I had to keep that sort of stuff to myself because they were like, why the hell do you want to watch The Last Emperor?
And the deal breaker here is they want to give him a racially offensive haircut.
And he's like,
"Oh, the Emperor cut, yeah."
Pass. So then he goes to Zaire. Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Oh, God.
Yeah. Basically.
You know what? I would have stayed. I would have stayed.
Well, the whole joke is that he's like, oh, all these people walk around naked all the time. Get it? Because National Geographic and stuff. And
and he's like, I couldn't concentrate on my homework because I have a boner. I mean,
yeah.
National Geographic, mom and dad. That's my actual note there.
And then, but don't forget the dad has is carrying a briefcase and says, "Honey, I'm home."
Well, yeah, because that's what everyone does, regardless of culture.
Leave it to Beaver references are cross cultural. Hence Nick at Night.
At the very least, all of this stuff is going to be explained away. So hold on, folks.
Oh, in the worst way.
He then goes to Paris.
Yeah, and where Jerry Lewis is funny. Get it? He's on every channel.
He's on every channel.
And they smoke a lot.
They smoke a lot and have berets. Yeah.
Berets, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that set did look like it was on You Can't Do This on Television. It was just like a blank wall that was like painted blue and like some stuff hanging from it.
Yep.
And then finally, again with the references that kids don't get, because he goes to...
If this was several references all rolled into one.
He goes to another house, and it's the Nelsons, a reference to Ricky Nelson. You kids get that, right?
Yeah, of course. Of course, yeah.
Ozzie and Harriet.
Ozzie and Harriet, of course.
Yeah. And he basically a TV sitcom family from the 50s, and of course it's wonderful, and he has a great time. And guys...
John Ritter's there.
And young ScarJo.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. I was like, oh my God, it's Scarlett Johansson. I hope her career recovers from this debacle.
It's funny because we've talked about young ScarJo in 2 movies, because we also talked about Eight-Legged Freaks.
That was that was post like Ghost World. I mean, she was. Yeah. I mean, her career was fairly confirmed at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we also talked about The Spirit, where she looks super bored to be there.
Yeah, she did actually look engaged in this one. She actually looked like she was one of the few actors who gave a shit.
Is Scarlett Johansson creeping up on her 5th or 5 in a row? Or 5 guests rather?
I think she's at 3.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to talk about next week, folks. Girl with a Pearl Earring. Tune in. Mm-hmm. Back in New York town, they're trying to lower the voting age to 7.
Yep.
I'm for that, by the way. You know what? You can laugh all you want. They couldn't have done any worse than what they did 4 years ago.
This is true.
Yeah?
This is true.
That's on you, Galen. That's your fault.
I know. We could have had Arthur Bell.
Could you imagine if a bunch of kids, all in in 2nd and 3rd grade, were all told that one of the people running for president was a big, mean, poopy-faced bully, and the other one was Donald Trump?
Wait a second.
I think the vote still would have been split.
I think it was, yeah. No, I do remember talking to a friend at one point, and she was like, we've been watching the debates at the house. So she's like, oh, my daughter and I, can't stand Trump. My son really likes Trump, though. I was like, oh, how old's your son? She's like 5.
That's because he likes bright things that make a lot of movement.
He likes big red things that scream.
Well, that's the thing, though. That's why Nathan's limiting it to 7, because 5-year-olds don't know what they're doing.
Correct.
I have no clue whatsoever.
That's right.
But
yeah, so Winchell sees that the North's parents are starting to come out of their coma, so he tricks them into doing an interview, trying to urge North to come back. But of course,
before we do that, there is a point where they're playing. This is before we go back and we have this whole thing, but they're having like family game night. They're playing Clue.
Yep.
With the 50s family.
Yeah.
And ScarJo is like super smart. She figures out the solution for Clue, and they switch over to Elijah's face, and he looks actually a little disappointed that he didn't get it. I'm like, oh, are they just as exceptional as you little shithead? This movie made me very angry at several points.
Around this time, I knew I was tuning out because I noted that there's a point at which John Lovitz is playing. Right after that, John Lovitz is talking to Winchell and playing a Terminator 2 video game.
Oh my God, the arcade machines in this movie.
Yeah.
I could talk for 45 minutes at least.
Yeah, and and at that point I was so bored that I noted that the cinematographer of this movie also did Terminator 2.
Oh my God.
Neat.
Yeah, right? Very neat.
Well, they can't all be winners.
So North's parents are waking up.
Yep.
Yep.
And yes, and Winchell is like, "Oh, let's do an interview. You can reach out to North." And of course he does this video trickery because he's like,
"Oh boy,
do you want to maybe North doesn't want you anymore. Do you want to adopt this kid Hugh?" And Jason Alexander says, "I don't want Hugh."
And pay attention to that because it might come back.
I saw this movie once before this.
Yep.
Well, back in like 94 when it came out on video, or maybe it was 95. I don't know. This bit with the other kid named Hugh. Yeah, that and the discussion on the sled dog sleigh where it's weird that we stopped for lunch 49 times. Only 2 jokes I remembered forever from this movie.
This is the one I remembered too. I mean, yeah,
because it's such a hacky fucking joke.
Oh God, it's so bad. Yeah, what I remember about this movie is that this was like one of the first movies I remember. Like you always have a movie where where you learn that movies can be bad. And I mean, this was the one for me. I remember my family rented it, and it was the one where like my parents couldn't even pretend to and be enjoying themselves. And I think it was around this time that I could feel the resentment for inflicting this movie on them. We've all had that movie. There's always that movie that it's like, oh, Cop and a Half. That was another one for me.
I saw that in theaters.
Oh my God!
Lucky you.
Well, no, guys,
or Bushwhacked with Daniel Stern.
Hold
that was
on,
another
guys.
one.
You can't blame me for. Now I will admit, I accidentally walked. My dad accidentally took me to Cop and a Half, and we just stayed there anyway. We were going to see a much better movie. That would be Kazam.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
What could have been?
It's a real
kick in the nut. Kicking the nuts or kicking the ass? I mean, what do you...
It's a real Sophie's choice.
Yeah. No racial insensitivities in Kazam either.
No, certainly not. Speaking of racial insensitivities, North.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where are we here? So he gets.
Oh, he's gonna leave the 50s family because he's got to figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
And so he takes a plane back to New York.
But before that, Nathan, he does see the edited video of his parents seemingly saying they don't want him. They don't want Hugh.
Yeah. Because now Bruce Willis is a hacky comedian, Jimmy Fingers, and he wants to test out his new his new VHS player.
By the way, Jimmy Fingers, don't care for it.
Yeah, I mean that also sounds like someone you don't want to leave your kids with.
Yeah, so he goes and he meets up with Bruce Willis, stand-up comedian, and says, "Yeah, I don't know what to do." And he's like, "I know what to do. I'm gonna pack you in this box and send you home."
Well, no, that's Bruce Willis, the FedEx guy.
Right. He says he's gonna drive him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because that comes. There's a fair bit about that whole thing because Bruce Willis is at it's supposed to be NASA. It's the National Association of Smoke Alarms, and
womp.
that's afterwards because I've got this whole thing here where Elijah Wood is wandering around Times Square in the early 90s at night.
Yeah, he'd be dead.
What the hell movie? He walks past like an all-male review.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And
Again,
then
every adult in this film could be arrested for child abuse.
Yep. This is when Winchell is gonna say that, you know what a good cause needs? A good martyr. We're gonna murder North. And so what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get the bad guy from Sewer Shark to go and murder him. Yes, that's right. I made a Sewer Shark reference, a Sega CD video game reference in North. Okay, deal with it. But Jussie Smollett's there, and he's the one who actually gives him the real videotape.
Which I'm surprised he was so honest with it.
Yeah.
Right?
He was like dressed in like a trench coat and like looked like he was going to like do something inappropriate.
Yeah. Which
standing
he's like,
on the shoulders of another 13-year-old.
Exactly.
He's like, take this tape. This is the uncut footage of your parents' interview.
Yeah. Because when someone in a dark alley says, "Here's this uncut footage on a tape," that you definitely want to take that.
Especially if they're charging.
Yeah. He does know the kid. He takes the tape, and then he's continued to be pursued by the bad guy from Sewer Shark.
Who shoots at him with a gun?
That's right.
Yes, and thinks he's gotten the job done because he finds a red hat. So we are to believe that North has been shot in the head.
That is
correct.
That is the assumption this children's movie wants you to make.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
back
guys.
back and to the left on the grassy knoll. He got North.
Calm down, Galen. It wasn't that. It was Borscht. And I think one of the Borscht guys was possibly either Ed Harris or J.K. Simmons. I'm not sure. The caricatures on the box looked like one of those two guys.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But luckily, North manages to hop into a Federal Express truck.
Yep.
Driven by Bruce Willis.
He does get some life advice about Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't stand the heat. Stay out of Miami because, your balls stick to your leg like crazy glue.
Which he says to a child.
Because that's an appropriate thing to say to an 11-year-old.
Especially if you're not his parent.
Nope.
What if you're his uncle? Is that okay?
That's even worse.
Is it?
I mean, it's common, but it's more common, but it is no more advisable.
I was gonna say because I got very not untoward but still inappropriate life advice more so from my uncles than I did to my dad. If anybody's gonna talk to you about your nuts or getting kicked in the asshole or something like that, and use those words, it's gonna be your uncle, not your dad.
Not kicked in the ass, kicked in the asshole.
Yeah, made your brown eye blue.
In the anal cavity.
Yeah.
Hey, go get some life advice from your Uncle Larry Craig.
Or Larry Flint.
Yeah. So,
God, that'd be great life advice.
Wait, from Larry Craig?
No, from Larry Flint.
Okay.
It's like, always take a shot, always take a beaver shot, and don't get shot so you're paralyzed and have to poop in a bag.
Wait,
Two pieces of life advice from Uncle Larry Flint.
Wait, the Larry Craig's advice: when you go to the shitter, keep your feet together as close as you can.
There you go.
So North returns home. Winchell is there waiting, and he's like, "You better hurry up to meet your parents and the judge because you got like 6 minutes, and then you're in the orphanage, pal."
Which, you know what? When he first showed up there and Winchell was there, I was like, "Did he murder his parents?"
I thought so
he
too.
Killed.
So he's like, "Your parents are in a safe place." I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
the freezer is a safe place. You sick little bastard.
Apparently, the parents and the judge are just waiting in the mall. So North is
with a clock that he brought from his own home.
The judge, he takes out like a timer. I was like, what? So North is running. He's running and running and running and running. He just makes it. He jumps to his parents' arms, but then the dude shows up and shoots at him. We cut away. Holy shit, guys! It was all a fucking dream.
Yeah. Because if there's anything because if we're not enraged enough, you know.
It was one thing I did note that the music during this whole scene where North is trying to get to his parents at the mall, I was like, did they rip off the Back to the Future orchestral Because it sounded like it. Not quite. It was almost like it was just off enough so they wouldn't get sued.
It's very possible.
It wasn't Alan Silvestri. It was Mark Scheinman who did the music.
It was Alan Sylvester.
Oh, got it.
It was a
So
knockoff.
it's like the off-brand version.
Oh, Alan Sylvester. Yeah. Sly Stallone Sylvester.
So, yeah, we get it was all a dream. Fuck this bullshit. And it's just incredibly cheap. And then we get a voiceover narration from Bruce Willis. North is home with his parents. They're like, "Where you been?" He's like, "I've been at the mall." "Oh, we're gonna tuck you in now. We're all happy. The end. Fuck you."
Yeah, no, that I mean, I do feel like the message to children of this movie is shut the fuck up. Go, yeah, you see, I love you. Okay, leave me alone. I'm drinking.
And it was at this point when we got a good wide shot of their house that I reflected, is that Nancy's house from Nightmare on Elm Street? Is this a shared universe?
Oh, if like Freddy's hand busted through the door and grabbed both parents through that, I would have loved this movie.
Guys, A Nightmare on Elm Street is better for kids to watch than North.
100%.
Oh, as a 7-year-old who watched it, can confirm.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, let's we're at the end of it, so let's make a decision right now. Galen, as our guest, is this movie worth a watch? A drunk watch with friends? Would you attempt head trauma to forget it, or would you avoid it like the plague?
Boy, oh boy. I went back and forth on this one. I feel like, as you know, as citizens of the world, we should be educated on all great tragedies and disasters of humanity. So in that way, we should absolutely be aware of this movie and how and learn the lessons of how to avoid tragedies like this in the future. But like any great tragedy or disaster, I wouldn't inflict it on anyone directly, so avoid like the plague.
All right, Nathan?
Head trauma. Definitely committing head trauma to try to forget it, because, like I said, the only thing I ever remember from the first viewing of it was Hugh and the sled dog jokes.
Well, I'm also going to go the full Monty and say, avoid this shit like the plague. This movie made me angrier than a movie has in a long time.
You're welcome.
This is an awful, awful movie. So, guys, on that note, that is North, and we will be right back.
What were they thinking?
And we're back.
Yes, we are back.
We're back. Dinosaur Story coming soon, etc., etc.
We keep saying that.
I know. We're bad people. It is now time for the Low Haiku. Nathan, what is the Low Haiku?
Well, the Low Haiku is 17 perfect syllables that, just sum up the movie that we've been talking for about an hour and some change.
Exactly. Yeah. And so to start us off, Galen, would you like to read your Low Haiku?
Absolutely. My Low Haiku is as follows. I really don't want to write a haiku about North. Okay, I will.
Oh. Okay. All right.
So I know you need to go. I know you need to go. I need to cut this off a little bit. But before you go, do you have anything you want to plug?
I can be seen on the final season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I return as the beige on brown clad Tommy Boyle of the Boyle clan. And that's, I think, episode 7, called Game of Boyles. So if you like some Brooklyn Nine-Nine and some beige on tan, check it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Galen. I know we had to kind of we were on a time crunch, so I hope we got you out of here.
So
on time.
sorry about that, but I hope we were able to squeeze it in for good measure.
No, we're all good. We're all good. I just wanted to make sure we got all your got your shit in, as the wrestling term goes.
Absolutely, wrestling reference. Yeah. Thanks, man. This was really fun. I can't wait to listen.
Thanks for coming out. Bye, man.
And Nathan, do you have a haiku?
But of course. North, south, east, and west. Not Rob Reiner's very best. Dreary, mad, awful.
All right, here's my haiku. Look, north, up in the sky, all the stereotypes of the rainbow. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba! We're out of here.
No, we're out of here.
Hey, we did it.
Yay.
So I was wondering.
It's weird that we didn't once make that whole, like, the movie's called North, but we didn't talk about the fantastic times that Bruce Willis made comment on North's name.
Oh, did he make jokes about North's name?
Yeah, I see you on all the maps, and you must be doing quite well. Oh, you're my favorite direction. Yeah.
Maybe I just was so angry that I didn't pay attention.
Just blinded with rage.
I'm telling you, man, this was a oh.
I legitimately hated every single kid in this movie at the end of it.
This movie fucking sucks. Put it on the box. I didn't mention this earlier, but this movie cost $50 million to make, and it made $12 million.
Oof.
That's a biggity bomb. You may notice at this point, Galen has stepped out. He was on a bit of a time crunch, so we got him in, though, for the whole movie and his haiku. So I want to thank Galen Howard for coming by. We will, of course, see him again soon. But, Nathan, we talked about this movie, but what do we always say?
Well, we always say...
Don't take a word for us!
Yes, that's right. Don't take our word for it. People fucking didn't like North, Nathan.
They certainly did not.
What percentage of the critics like this movie? I'm guessing 78%.
35 reviews,
Yep.
14% of the critics liked North.
What about the audience? I'm sure they loved it.
Well, almost double at 27%.
That's insane.
Out of 10,000 plus ratings.
That's insane. 2,700 people at least liked this movie.
But hey, if you liked this, you might like Richard Pryor and the Toy.
Sounds
Major
terrible.
League 2.
No.
Canadian Bacon. Son of the Pink Panther.
Yikes.
And Bebe's Kids.
Sure. They all sound great.
Bebe's Kids, that's a contender. 30% on the critics, but 74% on the audience. It's quite the divide.
Oh, way.
And I remember seeing it, and you know what? It may happen someday.
I remember the Toy being kind of it doesn't jive well with 2021.
Which it makes it perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, let's talk about the critics. Nathan, before we get into the actual Rotten Tomatoes critics, there's obviously one famous review of this movie. Roger Ebert, it's his least... It's most hated movie. I was going to say least favorite, but that would be giving it too much praise. It's his most hated movie of all time. He's always said nothing he's hated. There has been no movie that he's hated worse than North. And I just want to read this blurb. It is one of my favorite things I've ever read of a movie critic. I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience-insulting moment of it. Hated the sensibility that thought anyone would like it. Hated the implied insult to the audience by its belief that anyone would be entertained by it. I hold it as an item of faith that Rob Reiner is a gifted filmmaker. Among his credits are This is Spinal Tap, The Sure Thing, The Princess Bride, Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally, and Misery. I list those titles as an incantation against this one. North is a bad film, one of the worst movies ever made, but it is not by a bad filmmaker and must represent some sort of lapse from which Reiner will recover, possibly sooner than I will.
Okay. Well, to couple that, I'm going to read Gene Siskel's. He writes, nothing less than one of the year's worst films. A hoary concoction of ethnic stereotypes in a ludicrous story of a boy declaring free agency from his parents. The kid then travels the world scouting new parents. Have you ever seen a rich Texan before? How about a Hawaiian who lives near a beautiful beach? The first major bomb from director Rob Reiner that's rated PG. I give it 0 stars.
And they both did, by the way. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I don't think they've ever been in so much agreement before. Okay.
And you know what? Let's just before we delve into the rest of the fantastic reviews that we have here, the whole "it was all a dream" thing, it all explains away all the lunacy that's happening within this movie, all the stereotypes, all because it all stands to think that an 11-year-old, that's how he would think that someone in an Eskimo village or an Inuit village would live, how Texans live, how Hawaiians live. But still, it does not excuse this movie.
Well, and see, I read that too, and I think that the movie thinks it's funny though. I don't think it's just the character that thinks it's funny. I think Rob Reiner is like, these stereotypes are hilarious.
Yeah.
Kenneth Turan, again, these were in times where people didn't know Rob Reiner could be this terrible. How much they would find out within the next 26 years. How could director Rob Reiner, whose touch for what pleases a mass audience is usually unfailing, have strayed this far? It's Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times.
Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly wrote, "It's depressing enough to see a director turn into a button pusher, but what can you say about a director who just keeps hitting the same button? D+."
That's very generous.
Yeah.
This is a positive review I found from David Starrett of the Christian Science Monitor.
Okay.
David Starrett says, the screenplay by Alan Zweibel and Andrew Scheinman packs more on-target social satire, than any film in recent memory, fuck you, and zesty performances, eat shit. Keep it clicking along at a rapid pace. I may have added the asides there.
My next one is a positive review as well, and it comes from your country idol, Chris Hicks, to which he writes, "Elijah Wood has fast become the most appealing young actor making movies today, turning in consistently solid performances in a variety of roles." Apparently, North was a good thing, according to the Salt Lake City Desert News.
I'm just surprised Elijah Wood acted after this.
Same goes with just about everybody else in this movie.
It's true. I mean, Bruce Willis, you can say, obviously, like he already had a career going into it, as did some people, but Elijah Wood was just starting. Like that must have been terrible for him.
Well, he had The Good Sons. I mean, that's a lot of good credit right there. That movie's fantastic.
But that movie definitely got trounced by everyone when it came out, though.
Yeah.
Michael A. This is my last critics one. Michael A. Smith. It's also a positive review. Michael A. Smith of Nolan's Pop Culture Review says, "I happen to like Bruce Willis in a bunny suit." 4 out of 5.
That's a cry for help.
It's almost an audience review.
Martin Scribbs from Low Haiku Canadian.
Oh, no.
That's right. He writes, "Elijah Wood is very lucky that a certain Hobbit trilogy came along to clear his record of this turd."
Hey, I think he did other good stuff before that, though. I think.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, at least since that. All right, well, enough of these professional critics. Let's get into the audience here. I'm sure there's lots of North defenders. But certainly not Garibaldi A, who gives it 1 star and says, "You are scum, movie, and you arse of shit. Too many ethnic stereotypes." 1 out of stars.
Oh, okay. Michelle L. I've got nothing. She writes, "All of those people raging over the logic of a movie that's meant for children in the reviews is silly. This is a kid's movie. It's over the top and not necessarily full of perfect logic or plot points. But it's not supposed to be. The movie does what it's supposed to as a mid-90s children's movie and is one of my favorites from growing up. The cast is amazing. The premise is fun and original, and it's silly in a way that children can enjoy."
I love these people that say, like, "I can't believe you're looking so much into a kids movie," as if kids movies are exempt from being like good or bad, and they're just always good because they're silly.
Yeah,
there's good kids movies and bad kids movies, just the same as any other movie, guys.
Right.
All right. Well, this is posted by a coward because it's anonymous, but this coward gives it 4.5 out of stars, and they said, although it may not be well received by critics, I have always had a great love of the whimsy of this movie. As a child, I could appreciate the comedy. I don't know how you got any of the references, as well as feel empathy for North. It may not be suited for critics, but it is for me as well as my children. Oh, dear God. I think after that, his kids took him to court and found new parents.
My next one comes from Ted M. I'm assuming it's Ted McGinley from Happy Days and Love Boat. And
he
Married
loved
with
the
Children
references.
fame. Right. He writes, it's a fun movie. This all-star cast had done an outstanding job. I think what drew me to watching this movie was seeing Elijah Wood, North, act as Tevier. There is some witty humor in this movie, coupled with the cast should make this movie a classic. From a philosophical point of view, I think this movie speaks to all of us and the freedom we all obtain when we learn to appreciate our parents and realize there's more to them than meets the eye. My parents are not Transformers.
Yeah. Are you sure?
If they are, they're Autobots because they're very nice people. They are certainly not Decepticons. But I'm pretty positive they do not, transform into vehicles.
Oh, okay. Well, you might want to double check that.
I might.
This next review is from Nathan B.
Okay.
So it's a combination of us, Nathan Brendan. Says, I may be alone on this, but maybe it's because I was around 10 when I first saw this, but I find this movie entertaining. I love the cast members, and I have only liked Elijah Wood in 2 performances, North being one of them, and the other is Wilfred. I think adding Reba McEntire, Dan Aykroyd, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Jason Alexander, and Bruce Willis in also was well played. That's not a sentence. Though 99% of who sees this movie probably won't agree with me, but it's called an opinion. There are certainly movies that have been made that could take the role of worst movie ever. His examples are Parental Guidance, Yours, Mine, and Ours, and The Internship. But this certainly isn't one of them. 3.5 out of stars. I don't know if The Internship is one of the worst movies ever made.
It's that Owen Wilson,
Vince Vaughn Google
movie.
I mean, it's fine.
I don't know how that tracks with on the same subject matter as North.
I don't know. I don't even
anyhow.
know. Even Yours, Mine, and Ours remake. I mean, it's just a dumb kids movie, I guess.
But at least there's your parent stuff in there. Anyhow. My next one comes from Tommy H. And I can only assume it's Tommy Hilfiger. To which he writes, needs less ethnic stereotypes and more Bruce Willis in a pink bunny suit. I give it 1 star because it's fun to hear critics get mad at it. 1 out of stars.
I'm surprised Tommy Hilfiger is complaining about racism.
Right?
All right, my last one is from George T. I can only assume it's George Takei, who says...
that's a long one. Oof.
Well, I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit. He says, this is how Roger Ebert reviewed the movie North. And then he takes the quote from the Roger Ebert review that I read earlier. He says, I might remind you, this is from the writer of Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, one of the worst movies of all time. Many people disliked this movie, it's true, but I insist they misunderstood it. The key to understanding it is hinted at in the opening credits when we have a tour of all the toys in North's room. All the toys are silly references to the places and people North will visit during his adventure. It's only at the end this is revealed it was all a dream. This is crucial information. It tells us that all the outrageous caricatures in the movie were the product of the imagination of a naive kid. The film isn't guilty of stereotyping. North is. All kids have a simplistic grasp of the world and how it really works. But the best part of the film is the skillful craftsmanship and first-rate production values. It looks great, and all the acting is outstanding. It should be seen for what it is, a children's movie. Also of note, it's the movie debut of Scarlett Johansson at age 9, and Bruce Willis and Elijah Wood later appeared together in Sin City. Okay, cool, dude. Thanks for the IMDb trivia. Also, again, it's that thing where it's like it's a kid's movie. You can't criticize it. It's fine.
What do you give it out of stars?
4 out of stars.
Okay. Well, my last one comes from Christopher N. I can only assume it's Christopher Nolan, despite the fact that he spelled Christopher with a K.
Oh, no. I hope it says, I watched this on an iPhone.
This movie had a charm that many movies don't. I personally love it. It's a movie that always laughter at stereotypes and quick witty jokes while still maintaining a childish charm. Didn't realize how unpopular it was, but I love it. 4.5 out of stars. I'd like to go back to the line. It's a movie that allows laughter at stereotypes and quick witty jokes. No, Christopher Nolan, no.
Well, I have always heard that that movie inspired North inspired Tenet, from what I remember.
Okay.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. Those are the reviews.
Those are the reviews.
Fuck North. But Nathan, sometimes we watch good movies.
We do. Yeah, sometimes we do.
So why don't you tell the folks, since we're all buckled down, we're having a time in this time of COVID and whatnot. So what are you watching, bud?
Well, actually, this week I finally got around to watching Coco on Disney Plus.
Oh.
And I had a great time watching that movie. It was fun, just simply because the crux of the movie is about a kid who wants to be a musician and him going to the land of the dead to find his grandfather who was a musician. The musical numbers that happen within the movie they didn't take me out of it. And of course, as we've said before, it's animated, so I mean I'm pretty easy when it comes to like animated musicals. The art style within the movie is really fun. It's got a lot of that, the Sugar Skull, Day of the Dead stuff going on. You get a kind of a glimpse into what that holiday is all about if you don't know. So yeah, I absolutely recommend checking out Coco if you get a chance.
Well, there you go.
And so what about you there? What are you watching, bud?
Well, I watched a very similar movie to Coco, and it's a recent release called The Green Knight. It's a film starring Dev Patel. It's about the Arthurian legend of Gawain and how he goes. Basically, what happens is it takes place during the Arthurian times in England, and I mean I say that as if it's a real thing and King Arthur was real, but he's not. But basically, what happens is a giant tree man shows up, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna spar with whoever will take me on." And Dev Patel takes him on, and he cuts his head off, and he says, "In a year, you need to come find me, and I get to return the favor." So the whole movie is super slow, but I love it because it's a nice slow build-up. There's lots of weird things. It's a beautiful movie. It's super bloody at times. And why doesn't Dev Patel have an Oscar yet? Fuck you, Academy. Green Knight, check it out.
An A24 movie that's super slow and kind of bloody, you don't say.
Hey, I love it. I'm into the style, so
okay.
Total
All
recommend The Green Knight. It's actually, I will say it here on this podcast. It is my favorite movie of the year.
Okay.
So far, I mean
we've got some time left. Yep.
As of September, when we were recording this, it is currently my favorite movie of the year.
Okay.
But there you go. That's what we're watching. Of course, you could check out our social media and see what we're going to talk about next week. What movie? We'll hint at it. We can guess what we are going to do based on a little screen crap.
There you go.
But
it's fun.
But Nathan, is your buddy Montrose around to say a few things?
He is. Just one moment.
Okay. Hello. Oh wait.
Don't you dare. You wish you could sound as elegant and as refined as I do. I, your friend Montrose Menkington III, yeah, and I would welcome everybody, but because he tried to imitate me, I don't invite Brendan.
Nathan told me to do it. He said you'd like it.
You know what? I will have words with him much later. But I do invite everybody else out there to my YouTube channel, Montrose Monkington TV, and also my Facebook group, Montrose Monkington III Esquire and Friends. And if you so do wish to tweet at me, you certainly can do so on your Twitter devices at Montrose III. That's the number 3RD. Thank you. More later.
Thank you, Montrose.
Get bent.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess he hates both of us now.
Well, you've imitated him, so.
Well,
I told you he'd love it, didn't I?
You son of a bitch. Well, Nathan, I think that pretty much wraps it up. You can find us all over the place. You can find us on all the podcast apps. Of course, our home base is Age of Radio.
Big time.
We are also on Facebook. Just search for us. What were they thinking? We're on Twitter and Instagram at WWTT Podcast. Patreon.com/WWTT Podcast. Redbubble, TeePublic, all that good stuff. Find us, follow us, love us, dance with us.
Like no one's watching.
Or no one's listening, because podcasts, right?
Right.
But do you have any questions about this week's film?
Oh, a few.
Okay. Well, I'll try.
So, with a movie that was directed by a notoriously left-leaning director,
yes.
And in a movie that was, I'm assuming, was supposed to appeal to a younger generation to get them, moving forward in life, whilst also appreciating their parents, and with a movie where we couldn't throw a rock without hitting a stereotype, and in a movie where I'm pretty sure Rob Reiner didn't stop once and think to himself, this might be considered offensive what I'm doing here with these Inuit folk. I need to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what were they thinking?